she used the California law as background for her dismissal.
Blake Lively is losing it in court, and we're not talking about subtle eye rolls or under-the-breath comments. No, Blake is reportedly in full meltdown mode after a judge completely shut down her latest desperate legal move. Think red-faced fury, barely contained rage, and that classic Hollywood entitlement boiling over in public view.
It's a huge risk, and so it's not a fair fight. They're going into this with uneven risks on either side.
She tried to slither out of the mess by suddenly pulling out the California MeToo law card. Yes, the same one designed to protect real victims, not celebrities playing legal games in designer heels. Blake is using the law like a bulletproof vest to dodge the very defamation case that she sparked with her own accusations.
Just that in this case, it looks abusive.
Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds is out here being, well, Ryan Reynolds, but darker. He allegedly manipulated their 7-year-old daughter into delivering a crude, borderline disgusting line for Deadpool and Wolverine. Yes, he weaponized his child for a punchline.
He's basically looking at his 7-year-old and being like, well, if you're not gonna have what it takes to read this line, which happens to be about, you know, Wolverine's penis, then I'll just go find another actor. Total sicko, the exact opposite in my view.
And let's not get it twisted. This isn't just celebrity drama. We're in the middle of a warped, full-throttle circus featuring allegations, wild defamation countersuits, and a justice system scratching its head, trying to figure out how to apply a fresh law while Hollywood royalty cries victim, with their stylists just a speed dial away.
Has expectedly filed to be dismissed from the lawsuit against her. Her argument that she is presenting is that the lawsuit in and of itself is illegal, okay? Because the matter at hand is pertaining to sexual harassment.
Everything hit the fan after California's new Me Too law, known as Code of Civil Procedure Section 47B1, went live on January 1st, 2020. This was supposed to be a tool for justice. Instead, it's turning into a shield for the rich and powerful.
This Me Too law out here in California, Code of Civil Procedure 47.1, is a problem for the Baldoni camp.
How big of a problem is it?
This law, it's basically a gold-plated pass to hurl accusations without facing the consequences. It allows people to publicly say whatever they want, and if they're caught lying, well, good luck suing them. The courtroom door slams shut before you can even knock.
She wants the court to use California law, that's her argument, and every federal court has to deal with these conflict of law issues that we call them.
So what does Blake do? She files a motion to dismiss Justin Baldoni's defamation countersuit. Her weapon of choice?
And they want us to believe that Justin Baldoni is the creep in all of this. This is running parallel to him shouting at Justin Baldoni in a penthouse about his wife being uncomfortable.
And it works, because now Baldoni doesn't just have to prove Blake lied, he has to prove she lied with malicious intent. As in, she knowingly spread falsehoods to destroy him. Good luck proving that when gaslighting has legal protection now.
California law, relative to the lawsuit against Lively for defamation, is a little problematic. So we have not seen the opposition yet that the Wayfair parties are going to make to the motion to dismiss filed by Lively, but I suspect that they're going to want New York over California law. We'll see what they do.
But is it valid though? If the judge says, yes, you can use California law in this instance, could they dismiss his case because of that?
But here's the kicker. If Baldoni loses, he doesn't just walk away empty-handed. He's on the hook for her legal fees, potentially triple damages and punitive fines. Imagine trying to defend your name and ending up broke, blacklisted, and publicly disgraced. That's what's at stake.
But here's the real problem for him, and our concern for Baldoni is if he goes forward and he loses his countersuit based on defamation, there's a huge risk to him because he then has to pay Lively's attorney's fees, treble damages, punitive damages. It's a huge risk.
And then Blake's team pulls off the gaslight of the century. They argue that because Blake believed what she was saying, it couldn't have been malicious. That's it. Delusion is now a legal defense. Oops. I thought it was true is apparently enough to dodge responsibility.
It requires Baldoni to prove a higher burden than he would otherwise have to prove in this defamation lawsuit. So he actually has to show that Blake Lively's anything she said, any communication she made about SH that they were made in malice. And so that's a higher standard that he has to.
But the public, they're not stupid. They see what's happening. This isn't some vulnerable, voiceless assistant fighting for justice. It's a Hollywood queenpin using laws meant to protect actual victims as a sword and shield.
It's a problem that wouldn't be there if they had done this lawsuit a year and a half ago. So this is a brand new law. And what it does is it requires Baldoni to prove a higher burden than he would otherwise have to prove in this defamation lawsuit.
And you know who really needs to be dragged through the mud? Ryan Reynolds, the world's favorite Twitter witty heartthrob? Yeah, under that charming mask is something way more disturbing. Let's talk about the Deadpool dad disaster.
And then the jury has to look at the totality of that evidence and say, is that malice? And there's certainly evidence that would lead one to believe a jury could find that.
Reynolds didn't just cast his 7-year-old daughter in the next Deadpool film. He made her say a grotesque line about male genitalia. Yes, a line that would make most adults cringe. And she didn't want to say it because she's 7.
Absolutely no person, I don't care how funny you think you are in Hollywood, would want their precious daughter, of all people, to make comments about Hugh Jackman's penis being in their father's mouth.
And when she hesitated, did cool dad Ryan say, "Sweetie, you don't have to"? Nope. He threatened to recast her. That's right. He emotionally blackmailed his own daughter to say something explicit in front of cameras, and he brags about it like it's some kind of wholesome parenting moment.
You have to investigate any further because there is no father in his right mind who would want a scene in which his daughter makes a, I guess, homosexual joke about the relationship between him and this Wolverine character who we're starting to have questions about their relationship in real life.
And it gets worse. Director Sean Levy admits they made the child do that take not once, not twice, but between 70 and 500 times.
I started looking at other people to play.
Yeah, but Ryan, to our discredit, we made Nezzy do I'm not you 70 to 500 versions of that line.
I'm gonna pay for that later.
Yet somehow, this same man, this Dad of the Year icon, has the nerve to label Justin Baldoni a predator. He's out here accusing Baldoni while coercing his daughter into the hypocrisy off the chart.
And that's what he says. So he kind of basically forced his daughter to do the line, or else he's going to replace her as an actress in this movie. She's 7 years old, you guys.
And then came his court filing. Not just any filing, it was a 12B6 motion packed with venom. It read like a roast battle, not a legal document. Reynolds didn't just want to win, he wanted to annihilate Baldoni's character with every word.
No, it won't get dismissed at the 12B6 phase because Brian Friedman will be able to plead around by doing a second amended complaint. And he'll be able to outline, the claims of actual malice and that she wasn't reasonable when she reported the harassment.
And the worst part? It sounded like Ryan wrote it himself. Petty, smug, dripping with rage and arrogance. He turned a legal defense into a PR hit job.
Those are not points that a judge decides. Those are not legal determinations. Those are factual determinations. And we leave all of our factual decisions to a fact finder. In this case, that'll be a jury. So Brian Friedman more than likely will get past this phase.
This is a man who turned his parenting into a punchline, a workplace conflict into a battlefield, and his fame into a wrecking ball. Ryan used to be charming. Now he's looking like a full-blown Hollywood villain.
When I want your opinion, I'll take Wolverine's out of your mouth.
That's kid.
Guiltily, that is my daughter,
I'm
Inez.
so sorry we have to admit that.
And I am Father of the Year over here for allowing her to say such language.
Let's be real, Ryan Reynolds isn't some quirky underdog. He's at the top of the Hollywood food chain, and now the mask is slipping. The charm?
That is just unbelievable. He is admitting that she was not, Nezzy, as she is called, was not comfortable doing this line. And Ryan essentially said to her that I'm going to find another actor, which is pointedly ridiculous.
Because behind closed doors, Ryan isn't that lovable Deadpool we all laugh at. He's reportedly cold, manipulative, and raging. The man's throwing screaming fits in penthouses and whispering to WME execs that Baldoni is a predator. Not in public, not in court, but behind the scenes, in secret. He didn't say it because it was true. He said it because he could.
Ryan Reynolds' statement, as contained in the allegations, is that he went and called Baldoni a predator. I mean, that is just such an over-the-top statement, and it does, just in its own right, seems malicious.
And if that wasn't twisted enough, let's talk about Knife Pool. Yeah, that creepy, sleazy character Reynolds played in Deadpool. Turns out it wasn't just satire. He later admitted it was based on Justin Baldoni. That's not edgy comedy, that's personal vendetta wrapped in a $1 billion budget.
I think that the Deadpool scene, the Knife Pool scene in Deadpool, would be relevant here. I think that that backs up the whole idea of malice and what the intent was of Ryan Reynolds in the statements that he was making. Whether or not, you're not going to be able to get every little interview that Ryan Reynolds ever did where you try to kind of show that he's a bad character. A lot of that would not come in.
Just coincidentally, the guy he's mocking in press interviews, dragging in private conversations and suing in court, just so happens to end up portrayed as a twisted parody in a Marvel film. No, that's not art, that's malice with a marketing team.
Judge allows, this is what we call character evidence, and it's trying to impugn someone's character based upon their past acts in unrelated matters. But if it becomes a focal issue in the case, the judge will let certain evidence in so the jury can see that.
Reynolds hides behind jokes. He lobs grenades, then smirks for the camera. His insults, carefully scripted. His parodies, precision attacks. He doesn't clap back. He orchestrates full-blown smear campaigns.
Yeah, now he admitted, you're talking about Nice Pool, and now he admitted that Nice Pool was based on Justin Baldoni, which shows that that must be actual malice.
And he's got powerful allies like Ari Emanuel doing his dirty work behind the scenes. Speaking of Ari,
and the arguments that Blake is making and that he is making in the CRD complaints against Justin Baldoni.
Let's talk about the New York Times. This isn't just media reporting, it's media collusion. Baldoni's team says the Times worked directly with Blake Lively before she filed her complaint. Emails, metadata, pre-release drafts, the receipts are here.
He can defend himself all day long. We want to make that very clear. If he gets past the 12B6 phase, which we anticipate he will, he can vigorously defend himself with any and all facts that are in the case. The problem happened was when he sued her for defamation in response to her claims of SH against him, which triggered the new MeToo law, which was effective January 1 of 2024 in California. And boy, is it a concern in my mind for the Baldoni camp.
That kind of dirty hand-holding kills any fair reporting privilege. The Times can't hide behind, we're just quoting court docs, when they helped draft the story before the docs even existed. That's not journalism, that's sabotage with a byline.
Ryan Friedman won't come out and say that publicly. I mean, they would probably wait until a court told them they couldn't bring that case forward.
And irony of all ironies, California law, the same one Blake used to try and gag Baldoni, might actually help him take down the Times. Because when you cross that line from reporting to conspiracy, the gloves come off.
Also, if New York law were to apply versus California law applying, that would also change my analysis, because maybe the New York law, I'm sure the New York law is much more friendly on the Me Too issues than California law is.
She was supposed to protect Justin Baldoni's company, Wayfarer, but instead, she allegedly became Blake and Ryan's inside informant.
The audio of that dancing scene, I mean, that was a huge moment for me to see that Blake Lively's claims appeared to be misstated, overstated, just wrong. And of course the text messages as well. So I think there's a lot of evidence.
According to lawsuits, Jones seized an employee's phone before she left the firm. Full data extraction mission, and surprise, those private messages magically showed up in Blake's legal filings, after being edited, of course.
You would imagine that she would file the CRD in California in order to strengthen her argument that California law should apply, because this code section that we have is so liberal for protecting any communication about SH.
Jones used to rep Dwayne Johnson, Tom Brady, Lauren Sanchez, Hollywood royalty, but now they're quietly backing away. Because who wants a PR fixer who is the scandal? Her reign of fear is over. Now she's the problem nobody wants to touch.
I would really focus in on Ryan Reynolds. I mean, he's a deep pocket. It sounds like he said something very, it was a strong statement to call somebody a predator. That's going to be for the jury to determine if, that leads to the level of defamation and leads to damage.
And all this chaos, PR leaks, altered documents, character assassination, it was orchestrated to paint Justin Baldoni as the monster. But behind the curtain, it's Blake, Ryan, their team, and a machine built to destroy.
It does, just in its own right, seems malicious. And it's one thing if it was based on some true statement, some conviction or something like that. But to walk around calling other people a predator, especially in Hollywood, where, the Me Too movement was so huge, And it's such a hot topic.
This is not a Deadpool joke. This is real-life character assassination.
Extra gratuitous that wasn't in the initial script, and what they're perfectly fine with. And you add this to the fact that he slapped the child extra gratuitously, that all he believes is riffing. Now you're hearing from the director of his film that they made the 7-year-old do this line from 70 to 500 times.
Let's not forget, this is the same man who forced his daughter to talk about male genitals on camera, mocked co-workers in billion-dollar franchises, and still has the gall to label others as predators. The math ain't mathin'.
But rather than just using an AI tool for his daughter or using a voice actor for her to say that line that she was uncomfortable saying, he basically says, oh, well, I started looking at different actors and actresses. And then that's when she said, okay, no, I do want to do it. Wildly manipulative to do to a 7-year-old kid.
So who's the real predator? The guy defending himself in court, or the one controlling the press, pressuring his child and smearing reputations for fun? If you guessed the one with a gin company and a smirk, ding, ding, ding.
No, he can defend himself all day long. We want to make that very clear. If he gets past the 12B6 phase, which we anticipate he will, he can vigorously defend himself with any and all facts that are in the case.
By firing Justin Baldoni, no misconduct, no contract breach, just pure spite.
Oh, it's none of those things, but I'm powerful and I'm Ari Emanuel. My brother's Rahm Emanuel, and he bankrupted Chicago, and we've been acting like gangsters, and so we're just gonna fire Justin Baldoni. Well, he did that, and now it looks like he's being pushed out of Endeavor.
Ari admitted on the Freakonomics podcast, the one that magically never aired, that he fired Baldoni because he could.
Because he was the most powerful person in Hollywood. Another reason why I believe that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively felt so confident in everything that they were doing, because they had this guy behind him and they knew that he would just fire someone on a whim or on an allegation.
And guess what? That one offhand quote may become the single most damning piece of evidence in Baldoni's lawsuit. Ari basically gift-wrapped a damages claim and mailed it straight to court.
Also, Ari Emanuel, Mr. Baldoni is no longer the CEO of WME Endeavor.
And just when you thought karma wasn't paying attention, boom, Silver Lake acquires Endeavor and Ari's kicked out of his CEO chair at WME. That wasn't a boardroom shuffle, that was a cosmic slap.
Also, Ari Emanuel, Mr. Baldoni is no longer the CEO of WME Endeavor.
The kingmaker who once decided careers with a phone call, now he's sidelined, watching the empire he built unravel from the outside. Poetic justice doesn't even begin to cover it.
So it looks like another one of Blake and Ryan's dragons is going down. He's been accidentally slayed.
And with Ari gone, guess who else just lost their shield? Blake and Ryan. The guy who could crush opposition with a whisper no longer runs the show. And suddenly, Baldoni's case just got a lot stronger.
They wanted this guy out as a condition of them doing this $25 billion deal. He now will still be chairing, so he will obviously have some capacity of power still, sitting as a chairperson of WME.
And now, the whole circus is starting to collapse. Blake's legal team tried to pull a classic Hollywood move. We didn't lie, we just didn't tell the whole truth. Excuse me, that's called lying by omission, and we've seen this act before. The spin is old, the game is tired, and the curtain is falling.
I really do think Baldoni and his crew should shift to just vigorously defending themselves against Blake Lively and maybe consider dropping the defamation claim now.
This case has torn the glossy veneer off Hollywood's biggest names. It's no longer just a workplace beef, it's a spotlight on how fame, media connections, and industry power can be used to demolish someone's life. He forced his kid to say disgusting lines on camera, he trashed people behind closed doors, then he waltzed into the public eye like he was the victim. That's not bravery, that's full-blown delusion.
It is just stunning to me what they view as harassment, what they view as, forcing someone to do something, an extra gratuitous that wasn't in the initial script.
And Blake? She's using California's MeToo law like it's a celebrity cheat code. A law created to protect real survivors is now her personal legal body armor. This woman isn't some silenced underdog. She's a multi-millionaire backed by Hollywood titans, twisting legislation designed for victims into a sword to slash reputations without ever facing the consequences. None of it makes sense unless you realize this was never about truth. It was a hit job dressed up as a victim story.
Topic, but once you start saying that somebody's predator. You're doing it because you want to harm them. And it just feels very malicious to me.
Leaked emails, metadata, raided phones, podcast confessions. The evidence isn't just piling up, it's screaming from the rooftops. And it doesn't paint Blake and Ryan as heroes. It exposes them as puppeteers, pulling strings from their multi-million-dollar mansions while bulldozing lives in the name of damage control. And now that their machine is cracking, they're scrambling, desperate. The illusion is slipping through their fingers.
But what we're talking about is the countersuit for defamation. And it's because California law puts a big barrier and a big risk on the Baldoni side for that. They might accept that risk. They might say, that's fine by us. We're willing to move forward.
Because the tide is turning, the blind loyalty fading, the media collusion crumbling, the smug courtroom filings losing steam, the Reynolds lively PR train has officially derailed. Ryan can't meme his way out of this. Blake can't gaslight a judge into siding with her. Ari can't twist the narrative from the CEO chair he no longer sits in. The truth has entered the chat. And for once, Hollywood doesn't get to write the ending. And that is just the beginning. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next jaw-dropping twist in this spiraling, star-studded disaster, because the glamour is gone, the masks are off, and we're watching the real show unfold in real time. Unfold in real